Regal Movie Masters. Unlimited.
This is the Regal Movie Masters Unlimited podcast where we indiscriminately watch every goddamn movie that comes out at the local theaters. Your movie masters today are Justine.
Hi.
Brent.
Hello.
Dylan.
What's up?
And I am Colin. We're going to keep this episode a little bit short because we have another episode dropping later this week with our third quarter tier list where we rank every movie we've seen in the last 3 months. So this is a little short one this time, but we're making it up for you later this week. Keep an eye out for that. On the docket today, we're looking at the latest movie starring everyone's favorite people, all of them. They're all in it. Everyone who loves, you love everyone in this movie. It's the Expend4bles. Expendables 4, the fourth entry in the legendary Expendables franchise. It Lives Inside, a new spooky horror film from the Neon Company, and My Sailor, My Love, a unfortunately titled movie that we're going to talk about. As always, I will remind everyone we have an electronic mail situation that can be engaged by yourself. It's moviemasters760@gmail.com. You have anything to say to us? It's moviemasters760@gmail.com. And we're talking about our Instagram right now for a specific reason. The Instagram is @officialmoviemasters. I don't think you need to put in the @ anymore.
No.
But you go to Official Movie Masters on Instagram. We have a vote on our battle royale of all the movie monsters we've seen this year. Who will win in a fight? Dracula, or the Skinamarink? Only you can decide. You got to vote on our Instagram. It's Official Movie Masters. All right, Dylan, what are we talking about first?
Well, glad you asked, Colin, because speaking of everyone we all love,
Right.
I am a prime lover of all these men in these films.
All the men.
All the men. We're talking about Expendables 4, or what we call it, Expend4bles.
Because that's kind of what they call it.
I mean, that's what they call it.
It is literally like, it's not a fun. We're not trying to be funny. Like on IMDb, it's Expend the number 4.
The posters, Expend4bles.
Yeah, so it is. We're not being cheeky. I think they're going officially. This is Expend4bles.
Yeah.
It's canon.
Well, it's an American action film.
Filmed on international waters.
Starring a British man.
Yes. It's the fourth installment of the Expendables series, following the Expendables 3, which came out in 2014.
This is the last minute book report. I love it.
Yeah. The film stars an ensemble cast including Jason Statham, Sylvester Stallone, Dolph Lundgren, Randy Couture, who are the OGs from like the first movie.
Yes.
Right. Reprising their roles from the previous films, obviously. Then we have Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. He's new. Megan Fox, she's new. Tony Jaa, Iko Uwais, Jacob Scipio, Levi Tran, and Andy Garcia, and they're joining the cast. This movie's directed by Scott Waugh.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Hold on. I need to know who directed Expendables 2. I'm sorry to take you guys out of this here.
50 Cent is technically in this movie. I forgot he was in this movie.
Oh, you know how I remember it? Because PIMP starts blasting.
Yeah, it's
In
like
the truck.
attached to his deal.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to be in the movie the whole time, but you can use my song. Does that count for my screen time?
I love it.
It was weird because like there was times where it looked like him. There was other times where it didn't look like him.
We might just not know what he looks like right now.
Could be.
Been a minute.
It's been a minute.
Or what was his? He was. What was it? Empire? Is that a movie? That's a show, right?
Show.
Yeah, he's in Empire,
I
right?
don't know. The only thing I know is when he lost a bunch of weight for that movie and no one cared.
Poor guy. He can't seem to win.
That's really funny.
So Expendables 2 was directed by Simon West, not Sylvester. I don't have any point to this.
Simon West. That's the best one.
I think the peak of the franchise. One is Sylvester Stallone directing it and is a fine film. But 2, they give to the guy who directed Con Air.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes. And I don't know that this guy who did this one has the pedigree, frankly.
No.
No.
As a person that has only seen one of them myself, and it's this last one, how does this one stack up against the other 3?
better than
It's
3.
third best.
Yeah, better than 3.
3 is trash.
And it makes a very unfortunate decision of going PG-13. It went PG-13 instead of the R. And really, these are insanely dumb movies, gloriously stupid
Yeah,
movies.
that's what I like about it.
And they all rest on just horrific bloodshed. And, you really realize how important it is to see like the CGI geysers of blood shoot out of people. And you need to see the head explode and all that. Like, it seems like childish or just, I don't know, pedantic to be like, yeah, you shot a rocket launcher and blew a guy up, but I need to see it. But then you watch the third one where they kind of cut all that stuff and you just see, hail of bullets and then a bunch of guys falling down. And you're like, this kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So if you want to know how important it is for a gritty action movie to be rated R, just watch Expend4bles 2, then watch Expend4bles 3. This movie is rated R, but is also faced with a, I would call like a black hole of charisma, which is Megan Fox and 50 Cent just phoning it in.
They're so
really
bad
hard.
though that it gets entertaining.
It's amusing, and it doesn't like stop the movie from being fine. But the whole thing about these movies up till this point is like, you love all these people. Look, there's, and that's what the third movie has to its advantage. It's like, who's the bad guy? Mel Gibson, and he's being very
Spoilers.
Mel Gibson-y. And like, Harrison Ford shows up and like Air Force One character.
Okay.
It's just who the hell is going to come out next?
Yeah.
And in this movie, you got like the guy who was in the Raid movies, and cool people, but not like, they don't have that dire charisma. The guy, the Tony Jaa,
yeah.
he was in
Ong Bak.
Ong Bak, yeah,
Legendary movie.
and he's cool. He's fun to watch
Yeah.
for sure. But there's just a legend factor
Do
that's
you
kind
think
of lacking in
that
this one.
Statham has slid into that position in any capacity?
I think they would really like it if we
Yeah.
felt he did. But he was never, it's not like he was a bad part of the early Expendables movie. He's one of those guys
Yeah,
that we like.
solid.
That's great. But, and I'm not even saying 50 Cent couldn't be that, but he wasn't in this movie when he has 5 lines and they're all just like, guys, come on, we got to get out of here. It's like, oh man, we're not going to do a second take on that
And then
one.
they try to establish Megan Fox as like the mission commander, and like there's a point I think I slapped and punched you a few times like unintentionally during the movie because it's just so funny. There's a part it shows her like taking command on the walkout, and she's just swimming in the gear because like she's like 105 pounds.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you're not really built for combat.
I mean, she also has her hair done and a full
Yeah.
face of makeup and like acrylic nails.
Yeah, on like a,
International waters.
Parachuting out of the sky or whatever.
yeah, and it's like, again, like not to be rude, but it's like, we don't like you like that, Megan Fox. Like not in a Sylvester Stallone way.
No,
Yeah.
and she has never proven herself to be, like you were saying, a charismatic, witty kind of person, which is kind of what you need in a leader. There's Sylvester Stallone. He says a bunch of funny stuff. Funny dumb, but
Right.
it's funny.
And you could, I mean, there are like action ladies you could put in. I feel
Big
like
time.
Uma Thurman would be a respectable decision, or Vivica Fox.
Yeah.
She's been in enough of those kind of movies.
Pro wrestler, because they went with Rousey in a previous installment, right?
They did.
she
Go
was
with
in 3.
Rhea Ripley this year.
Well, Rousey did not make a good argument for
Yeah,
being
she
a woman
can't act.
wrestler.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you could replace her with somebody that can act.
You know what she was sick? She'll beat a guy up and then she'll just go, men. And then it cuts to like someone else blowing things up. She went there. Respect.
She got booed out of WWE.
He just straight up said men.
Yeah, met twice.
Twice.
They did the same bit and like forgot. And they introduce her in like this team of like special ops guys who are all, the most veteran guys ever. They're like, well, I'm putting together a new team. Okay, well, this is a lady. She's a club bouncer. And she's like, oh, hold on, guys. I got to go stop this fight. And she beats up like 20 people.
Hold up. They said she's a club bouncer.
She's a bouncer.
The irony of that is they gave her the Footloose reboot. Or no, I'm sorry, Roadhouse reboot.
Okay.
She was going to be the Swayze character, but they found out that she couldn't act, and they canceled the whole thing. So that's
Yeah.
hilarious that they
Guess
make
what?
her
She
a
can't
bouncer. And
Yeah, they could. And Expendables 3 wasn't afraid.
oh my god,
They gave her the shot. But she also had 5. Anyways, this is Antonio Banderas is in 3. And then the guy who talks too much in this movie is his son.
that guy. That was weird.
Yeah, and it's not. And again, Antonio Banderas. We like Antonio Banderas. It's a
Yeah,
Guy doing an impression of Antonio Banderas is a little off-putting.
yeah. So I don't know. As far as like on-screen chemistry and stuff, that was pretty botched. But, you know, you're here for explosions and like ridiculous action scenes. And I felt this more or less delivered on that front. It was, I hesitate to say thoroughly entertaining, but certainly entertaining enough.
It's a movie that like you could pile on for hours, but you still had a great time.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, it's not too often that those come about. So I was enjoying myself. I'm curious to know how Dylan took this movie in and how it went for him.
Oh, it was great. Saw it with my friend and then 3 teenagers below us. We're all laughing. They clapped at the end. We were just like fucking having a great time. But there's a one bummer part in the whole movie, and I need to ask Colin this. I saved this question till now.
I'm listening.
How did you feel when they de-edged Dolph Lundgren?
Oh yeah, because he was in recovery.
Yeah.
And then he drank. It was fine. It was cool because he's like, you know, that was his secret weapon, is being an alcoholic. Apparently, like he couldn't shoot the gun right.
He couldn't
when he
aim.
was sober, so he had to take some hits off of his flask. Dolph Lundgren is this franchise's secret weapon. Like he's just this like curmudgeon-y ogre who just like sits in the shadows. And he has my favorite line in the entire franchise in Expend4bles 2 when he's just driving like an ATV and like shooting a bunch of guys in the head. He just goes, "Eat shit."
Oh, I gotta watch 2.
It's so goddamn giant brain. He's a legend, and he was great in this.
I got to see the moment where they de-edged him, and Colin just goes, "Yes,"
I was stoked.
and then he just started messing stuff
He's
up.
Because he takes a sip and then he goes, "Bah."
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. It gave Colin that reaction.
It was like
great.
his spinach, and he was Popeye.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
You ready for me to kill the fucking mood in this room?
Okay.
Okay, so you may have noticed Terry Crews was not in this film, and he was in the previous 3. Is it
Didn't know
because they couldn't afford him, or
I'm gonna go with the or.
the fact? So he has like a sexual harassment
Yes.
suit pending against this like agent guy, and the producer of this movie was like, "Hey, drop that charge, and I'll let you be in this movie."
Oh.
And he says, because he's Terry Crews and he's cool, he's like, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
I got to go through with this, and so they didn't put him in the movie because he's fucking, you know,
A man of integrity.
yeah, not letting some guy grope his fucking penis at a Hollywood party. He's not getting into that gross little system they got over there. And
I take it you liked him in the previous installments.
10 out of 10 again.
Yeah.
He's Terry Crews.
Yeah.
You know?
But like, if there's anyone that is in that center Venn diagram of like machismo and charisma,
Oh yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
that's Terry Crews to a T. Weirdly, he embodies the spirit of this whole franchise, you know, which is like unapologetically masculine men being incredibly violent, but also very charming. And if he can't do that, he is essentially more Statham than Statham in a lot of ways. And he was definitely like, I think in the 3rd movie, he got like sidelined early on. He wanted, which is, that's what Stallone does in this movie. Just like you get injured early on, or, you know, basically you don't want to be in the movie for the whole movie and you get out. He was in that in 3 anyways, but not mentioned in passing in this movie. And that's just, it goes to show, super fucking gross over there in Hollywood land. $100 million this movie cost to make.
Yeah.
You can tell in the CG, the airplanes.
My goodness.
That was my favorite part.
Yeah, I think, and I don't think it's doing particularly well, but given that these fucking vile producers are using my man Terry Crews as a pawn in their game, I'm kind of rooting for the failure now. Though I would like them to make these movies forever because they are glorious.
Yeah, it's just pure cacophony, you know.
Yeah.
It's like I remember like the opening scene where they actually get on the ground and it's got like, I don't know what kind of vehicles they are, but like I couldn't tell who was in what car and what was happening. I was just like, all right, it's just loud noises, and I guess, is that guy good or is he dead? All right, you know.
Yeah, it's at Gaddafi's old chemistry factory. Chemical
His
factory.
old chemistry factory.
Did you like the history in that, Jesse?
You know, weirdly, each of them has like way too complex international issues. It's kind of funny.
Okay.
They're always in some other country dealing with some other country's business, really.
I was mad that nobody ripped their face off to reveal a different face.
Yeah, you gotta. This is like the Monster Energy drink version of Mission Impossible. They don't have the class for that. They'll just blow a head up.
A lot of times.
Yes.
Yeah. There's
Several
a lot
heads.
of exploding people in these movies.
Do you remember any of the music? I don't remember any. Was it good?
It was always boomer. It's always been boomer rock in
Yeah.
the past. This one was.
Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh yeah,
That's
the Blue
right.
Oyster Cult cover band. Yeah, it wasn't particular. I think the joke in this one is that Sylvester Stallone is listening to classical music instead of boomer rock because it calms him down, and Statham gives him shit over it, and it's kind of amusing. Anyway, so Expend4bles, are we going to accept the mission, or are we going to decline to be in the film because of a pending sexual harassment suit?
Goddamn.
I'll take the mission. I like these movies. They're very dumb and great, and you kind of can't really, hold them too accountable for themselves.
Yeah, I'll take the mission. I surprisingly think that these movies are pretty fun, except for the third one. And I looked it up, and Expendables 1 and 2 and Expend4bles are each an hour and 43 minutes long.
Yeah.
To the minute. Yeah,
Yes.
they all open with the same. They got a formula for these.
Yeah,
And when they have the right people in it, the formula works.
yeah. 3 goes over 2 hours.
And they
It's
botch.
terrible.
Yeah, they
And it,
ruined
like a
it
lot of it is slow. This is nice because it's mostly pretty fast. I really dislike that they introduced the Megan Fox relationship aspect. Why can't she just be an agent?
Yeah, she's an agent and she's in with Jason Statham.
Yeah, and there's like a faux sex scene, which is unfortunate because none of the other Expendables movies have anything like that.
It's predicated on domestic abuse.
Previously, the Expendables movies were bro zones. It was all dudes, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
And they are now ruined forever.
Yep.
It just messes up the vibe.
It does. Just make it cool old guys that we love.
There's no other women that show up in 3? I know
there's
1 and 2.
There's Ronda Rousey.
Oh, that's right.
in 3.
Okay. But she doesn't have sex.
No, she's just like
She's just there.
a soldier person.
I
She's just cardboard. She's just cardboard.
One of them like insinuates they want to, but not really. Oh, and then there's the hacker girl, and it's gross because they're like hanging out in some bunker, and one of the guys is just like, "I feel like I could eat Chinese," and then looks at her and is like, "Oh."
Jason Statham says that?
No.
Okay.
Statham would lower himself.
I was like, what is that accent? Who's saying this?
Oh, they all have goofy accents. It could be any of them.
But yours is all British.
Well, it's the third one. They introduce like all these new weird people.
That one's in the first one though.
No,
Yeah.
the Chinese hacker girl.
Yeah.
No, because she hacks the plane, which gives
Yeah.
thing.
Aside, because that's the one with the Hemsworth kid.
There's a Hemsworth in these?
Yeah, in the first
Hell
one.
yeah.
He's not in the first one.
I gotta
There's no
catch up.
way. Maybe I'm getting.
He might be in
confused
the
with
second one, but
might
it's
be the
the
second
first one
one.
or the second one.
All right, I'm going to accept the mission. Equal amounts of dumb and fun. It was just like, I don't know. I was first movie in a while where I was actively moshing in my seat and Colin took some shots, but he took them like a champ.
I'll take the mission. I like these movies. Never saw 3 though, so don't. Anyway, I saw
don't.
these films. I like the 4th one a lot. You should watch it if you like. Immediately a helicopter just taking out ground people and like headshots immediately. That's it.
Yeah.
What's next?
Oh, we watched It Lives Inside, Colin. It's a movie, about a kid who's desperate to fit in at a school. Sam's the main character, rejects her East Indian culture and family to be like everyone else, However, when a mythological demonic spirit latches onto her former best friend, Tamira, she has to come to terms with her heritage to defeat it.
Very good, Dylan.
Yeah.
Do you have to come to terms with the heritage? Is that how
I
you take
suppose,
it?
yeah.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, she,
She
had to,
definitely
bro.
did.
She was denying her mom.
Yeah, but that wasn't to defeat it. The first.
Dylan, you saw the whole movie, right?
Yeah, I saw the whole movie.
Yeah, some people didn't. So you're correct.
The first girl was very in touch with her heritage, and she captured it, but she couldn't keep it closed.
Handle it.
She was doing it right, except for that that Sam girl is the one who did free the demon. Technically,
She
wrote
went
the
to her
shots.
to try to get help. Like, I can't do it on my own. I need help.
And then she's like, shut up,
Yeah.
freak. You're fucking psycho. Smash.
Why would she smash that jar?
Yeah, in the
that's just
shower,
mean.
nonetheless.
Well,
where
because all the
there's-
girls were
She
watching.
already said something mean to her. Just leave her alone. But yeah, she unleashed the beast,
yeah.
and then it went on a rampage. So she had to learn about it. To learn about it, she had to learn about her culture, and it was an actual monster.
Yeah, this was a geo-specific monster that followed them to America or something like that.
Flesh and blood.
Yeah. Predator cloaking, though.
But I like that when there's it's a real monster. They don't shy away from showing you it either.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. It's I mean, there's a metaphoric element to it, and that's something I latched onto in the film. I'm obsessed with the idea of like guilt versus shame, like guilt being a feeling about something you do, shame being a feeling about something you are. And the movie uses that word shame quite a bit. This monster that lives inside sort of feeds on negative energy and stuff, and eventually burns you up inside. It's like kind of the embodiment of shame of sorts. And since there's this big B plot of the movie of this girl, I don't know how you would put it, I guess, trying to assimilate into Western culture and kind of neglecting her own, not speaking her language at home, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if the shame is for her doing that or if the shame is for who she is, just from, I guess, internalized racism of some sort. But it's an interesting way to use that kind of monster, which is like a real monster from Hindu mythology, and a fun way to introduce new kind of mythologies into horror movies instead of the same demons and possessions and whatnot. Give the movie credit for PG-13. I was kind of grade on a curve with that. I think it's harder to do because you can't just rely on like a bunch of guts being spread out all over the place, but it's also doesn't necessarily make for the most engaging watch, because when you have an invisible demon like ripping a guy apart and you don't really see a lot of blood or anything really visceral, it kind of takes the impact out, I would say. But that said, it's still a pretty coherent story, decent underlying metaphors and narratives and all that. So I wasn't mad at it, though I'd be lying if I said it was like, great.
Yeah, I like movies that deal with mythology and demons from around the world. It's fun because, I think you and I were talking about this, where like the wider audience maybe doesn't know all the rules for these.
Right.
It's like a new kind of demon. It's not like you just bring a priest and, throw holy water at it or something. So it's kind of cool that you get to see something new.
Yeah, it's like they gotta pray it down with the chant. So she has to learn the chant, then she has to pray it down, then she has to find the original girl who the demon is waiting for 7 days till he takes him to hell, and they have to hold hands and chant together and come together. Yeah. It's sort of, I think it has to do something with like, kind of retaining the roots of your culture and everything.
They show a lot of food. You have to give it like offerings of food. This is another movie we've seen like pretty recently that's just lots of food shots.
Mm-hmm. Right. The two greatest horror films of this season, I think, is this movie and My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. Mm-hmm. Both very food centric. But yeah, the rules part was kind of weird because it's like, we say the prayer, we give it the offering, and we're good. And it's like, no, it's still going to mess you up. And sometimes it's invisible and sometimes it's visible. So it felt a little inconsistent, but I just like my monsters to follow very specific rules, I guess you could say.
Yes. But again, because it's like a different kind of demon that you're not really familiar with, some cultures, demons and evil spirits or whatever, have their own personalities. It doesn't mean you're like they don't play by rules the strict way that we think of like like a priest comes
or a vampire or something.
Yeah. It can do what it wants. Like maybe it's impressed with your offering and maybe not. They tried to make it like food, but it wanted meat and was like, get this out of here. I was mad.
See, I missed that. They fed it the wrong food. Mm-hmm. Dummies.
Yeah, see? Give it what it wants.
Right.
Give it sprinkles. I didn't understand that. If anybody can explain that to me, I'd love to know more.
The demon likes sprinkles?
No, like on their table, they have like, like you have like a chili oil or like maybe salt and pepper or something that you have on the table all the time. But it looked like there was sprinkles. Mm-hmm. It was like ice cream sprinkles.
All right.
In a little bowl.
Demon likes sprinkles. Let him be.
This is a rare miss from Neon for me. In the Coke versus Pepsi, A24 versus Neon thing, I tend to like side with Neon. But this one, I think a lot of it had to do with the editing and particularly the blocking. So in all the action scenes, they blocked it terribly. So you could see like all the punches and the kicks being thrown 2 feet away from who the intended target was. And it really broke it down. And the editing was ponderous.
There's a lot of like stuff repeated. It felt like maybe there was some of that stuff could have gotten
weird sequencing,
axed or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does seem that they would kind of drive home points that had already been driven home a few times.
And it was in terms of the monster itself, it was okay design. It's kind of like a xenomorph that has like a predator cloaking more or less. And what kind of bummed me out was, I don't know, I wasn't ever really in suspense or scared of it in any capacity. Like I had the thought when I was watching one scene where I was like, oh, the trash compactor scene in Star Wars is more like ominous and scary than this is. And that's Star Wars, a sci-fi movie. So I don't know. I just, it for some reason, it didn't really click with me. I thought like the cast was great. You know, everybody like did well, but I think just something with the edit and a lot with the blocking, like kind of yanked me out of it. I don't know. I could have set more with the monster, and I feel like there was just something missing in that regard.
I would have liked to see more monster.
Yeah.
I think the invisibility thing kind of worked against it. But it sets up other, scares. Eyes in the dark and light switch on, there's a monster, light switch off, monster, light switch on, the monster's gone. A lot of stuff like that. Not especially jump scary in the way, and maybe it's coming off of The Nun 2, which is all jump scares.
Yeah.
Didn't seem too jump scary compared to that.
I feel like if we're going to release something October adjacent, you know what I mean? You kind of you're right. You have to have like a unique voice and kind of like maybe if you can survey the landscape, see what you're going up against, if possible.
I don't know. I think they surveyed it great. They made a PG-13 horror movie for teenage kids in high school, and it stars high school kids. So it's like, I think that's kind of the right idea.
I do think it looks like it's gonna be more competitive this October. You're not just gonna
you're
not gonna have a smile.
It is a stacked bill.
Yeah.
You catch that one scare when they go up in the upstairs room of the abandoned house, and when the flashlight hit the screen, the shadow of the monster just appeared real quick.
That's cool.
Like a Pazuzu.
Yeah, that shit was that scared me. So I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what the hell was that? I was like, oh shit. I was like, okay, I guess that's the way to tell us that the demons are around. Yeah. I thought the movie was pretty good. I liked the cast, and I thought they all did a great job.
Yeah.
There's one particular thing.
Incidental spoilers.
So when they had to feed the demon, like they made all that food, and they he threw the food in the ground. I got so mad at that fucking demon, bro. I was like, that's like just so much food just being wasted.
I don't like to see wasted food.
I was like, you fucking asshole. They worked on that. Then what really bummed me out.
Plus, you could have eaten everything there.
I guess. But what really pissed me off, that in this demon, the girl, sorry, spoilers, forced to eat raw meat.
Oh, yeah,
was it raw? I was
it
wondering
was like
that.
raw meat.
It was like a tartare.
And I was like, motherfucker, just eat the regular food that she's gonna eat, man. What the fuck's the difference for you?
Picky.
No.
Yeah, you're forcing her to eat raw meat, man. What's the difference between grilled chicken and the goddamn raw meat? Just let her eat whatever. That's so fuced. I was so mad.
Yeah, like a vindaloo or something. Come on.
Yeah, why is he being picky? That fucking asshole. Just eat whatever.
I did find that ending weirdly more respectable, if not particularly satisfying, because to kind of go back to the idea of shame that this monster kind of represents, or that they insinuate it represents in the movie, there isn't really always a nice conclusion to it, because the monster isn't like dead. Mm-hmm. It just has to be kind of managed in the girl, right? So I think that's kind of an interesting way to go about it. Again, it's not satisfying in a conventional horror movie sense, but I think for the story they're telling, it kind of served it. You just got to fucking deal with this bullshit every goddamn day of your fucking life.
I like that about it.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of impressive that it was like a horror movie, but really is dealing with being comfortable with yourself. Like it is for like a young adult audience, and you can kind of tell that. But I thought that it wasn't super preachy about it. It sets it up and you know what it's about. but it kind of just leans into the monster more than it does into like why she's sad about herself. You kind of just witness her being down on her family and stuff. You don't have her writing in a diary being like, I hate this, why am I so different, or anything like that. It's kind of incidental, but you know that it's an important part of the story. So I like the ending. She just has to do this every day. It sucks every day. Yeah. And then that's why she's like, I won't let it come out because she's going to work at it. But then you kind of see that she's like, oh.
If they were to tell a cornier story, it would be like, I'm proud of who I am and my culture, and I learned my language, and then the monster blows up. But it's like, no, you have to just fucking swallow it up and just fucking live with it. And no. It was a respectable close.
You know, it's kind of been neat to see like a variety of different kinds of horror movies in the last like year or whatever. And I like that this is one that kind of fits where there's a space.
I mean, Smile was somewhat similar in terms of it, but that was more of like a psychological element versus a cultural element.
Yeah.
So it lives inside. You gonna bust this jar out and let the monster out run around, or are you gonna keep it in the jar?
Which one's a good one?
You let it out.
Which a good
if
one,
you
buddy?
like the monster, you let it out.
Okay.
I'll let it out. I like the movie enough. It's a little on the dull side, but it was also not grueling to get through or anything. I say overall I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it enough.
Yeah. I'll let the monster out. Teach him to eat normal food. That's good. Mm-hmm. I liked the movie. It reminded me of some things that I've seen on Netflix that are like a young adult horror anthology kind of series that they have on there. And they're all like fun, but they also can teach you something. And there are a lot of cool ideas of how to present the monster in this one, I thought. Like the eyes in the dark and then turning on the light and turning it off. And there's like a part where there's a lady in front of a mirror and you're like, oh, the monster's going to be right behind it. But it's not. You just see like condensation on the mirror, like it was breathing on it or something. Really clever. I liked it.
Regrettably, I'm going to go ahead and keep this one in the jar, and that's only because of the technical aspects, like the editing and the blocking. Cast is great. I have nothing bad to say about any of them. If you re-edit it and maybe reshoot some stuff, I'm there.
I'll let the monster out. I'm going to ask him to teach me how to draw all fucked up shit. That was like possibly one of my favorite parts of this movie.
Yeah, all the new metal art.
Yeah, because like I like when these movies have like, oh no, he was just like drawing some scary ass shit. And I'm like looking at it, I was like, that's fucking cool. So most of the time. Sometimes it's like shitty.
Like the cover of a Korn album.
Yeah, I'm just like, this one, I'm like, oh, this is sick. Demons are coming out of this dude's mouth. That's crazy. I liked it. I like how it has my girl Betty Gabriel as the teacher. She's always in these movies.
Oh, yeah.
I love them.
She does good in it.
Yeah. She's a great job. Anyway, but yeah, I let the monster out and hang out with it.
What other movies did we watch? There's one more.
Well, Colin, you and Justine saw it. The My Sailor, My Love movie. From what I know about it, retired sea captain and his daughter must reassess their relationship after he like begins a new romance or something with a widowed housekeeper, maybe. And then I guess like chaos ensues.
It's a very strange summary, but kind of gets the job done. It's a relationship movie. Like I'll just come out and say I really liked this movie. It's my kind of film where there's not really heroes or villains. Everyone's pretty well rounded. All their actions are pretty reasonable. Basically, this daughter's like my old ass dad, who we had static with growing up. He's getting too goddamn old. We need to put him in a fucking home. And he's like, no, I don't want to go in a home. I'm a cranky old obstinate guy. And so like those are two viable kind of takes, really.
It should be noted, they're like in Ireland, in the country.
Yeah.
So he lives in like a giant house on like a bunch of land, but he's, really old and not doing anything with it. So he lives by himself really far away. And
so, yeah, she gets this housekeeper lady to kind of take care of him. But then, basically a romance starts between the two and decides to move in. But none of it's too over the top. It's not like melodramatic or corny. The lady, the daughter, her life is kind of falling apart. Her husband's leaving. She's got all this kind of stuff going on. And it all kind of stems from being raised fucked up because her mom was super depressed. And so she's, the child of a depressed mother and an absentee father. So she's a mess. And you just see kind of the generational effects of not really doing a good job, and she kind of comes back at the dad in a certain way. But again, she's not like a mustache twirling villain that just thinks her dad's going to die. Like, she has real concerns. I'll give you a quick, for instance. At one point, the dad's distancing himself from the daughter because he has this romance with the housekeeper lady, and he's taking her to grandkids for a drive with her, and like a beachside getaway, and has a stroke mid driving and like almost kills everyone in the car. And then he's in the hospital, and the daughter is talking to the housekeeper lady. She's like, "Yeah, he didn't tell you he's not allowed to drive anywhere? You see this guy driving all the time." And you're like, "Okay, yeah, he can drive." No, he has these blackouts and strokes. So this happens. And so the lady, who is a nurse in the movie too, his daughter, she's just like, "You took your fucking grandkids out let a guy drive them around when he doesn't have the capacity to." And she's like, "I didn't know, he didn't say." And she's like, "Exactly my point. He's only going to do the stuff that's going to serve him. He's a fucking prick." It's like, fuck, I kind of see all sides here. It's like, on one hand, yeah, he doesn't have the capacities to be on his own. He also, kind of should have some agency. So it's a really interesting give and take. It's a Finnish director, Irish movie. So not a lot of joy bursting from the screen.
Did it stimulate any thought about age and getting older in either of you when you walked away from it?
I mean, definitely thought of like having fucked up parents who did a bad job.
There you go. Okay.
Well, it does, because like you see that he does things his own way. He doesn't clean up after himself, and he like washes things in the sink, and she's just kind of like, this is not how you're supposed to live. But he was a sea captain for however long, and he just does things the way that he does them, and so he's like, don't touch anything. She realizes that he needs help, but he's set in his ways and needs somebody to kind of break him out of that. So that he's capable of taking care of himself, and that he would rather just do it himself, but his daughter is like, no, you need help. So there's like different degrees, I guess, of help that you could get, or that you could want somebody to have when they're older. And I get the aging in place and all that. And I just think like whenever they depict these kids of older people and they're like, I'm putting them in a home, it's sad. But you get to see, like Colin was saying, her reasoning behind it. And she's a nurse and she's neurotic. So that's obviously going to be like the first thing she's going to want to do. And you see when she's taking care of him that she treats him like a patient.
I think it's sort of like depersonalizing.
Yeah.
But
it's what she knows too.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting movie, because you do get like all these different things that you could imagine about these people and why they would act that way. Like, she kind of infantilizes him.
Yeah.
And she like has to take care of people because she didn't get that when she was younger, So you kind of see her playing that role and then doing that so much to the extent that she's ruining her relationships that she thinks she's like doing something toward, and then getting really hurt by putting in all this effort and it's not giving her the result that she wants. When she's so mad about her parents not putting in the effort, and she's like swung so hard the other way.
Something I liked about the movie, which sort of speaks to the aging issue, is the housekeeper lady and her family like loves this guy. He's this fun guy with all these sailor stories, because they're like seeing a new slate. They're seeing like a new side of this, or they're seeing a person. They don't have the baggage. Whereas all the daughter has is the baggage. And she's like, this guy is a fucking prick and you guys don't get it because you don't know the full story.
That's relatable, right?
And there's a lot of, a good technique of the film is there's a lot of mirrors and a lot of reflections used. So it's like, basically different people can see different things depending on the perspective,
cool.
And also like a lot of scenery porn. This is in the moors of Ireland, seaside. So it's just greenery and hills and rain and dampness and like interiors and stuff. You brought up a lot of good points about all the interiors.
Oh, yeah. It is like a really meticulously designed movie. The house is like a prominent feature in the movie, the house where this guy lives, which is a gigantic house. You see all these nods to nautical things in his house. And, obviously it's by the ocean. So you're seeing the water all the time. And there's a lot of shots toward the front door. And it's like this really long hallway to the front door. And You spend a lot of time in that hallway, weirdly. Really narrow, like a ship galley. And the sides of the walls, they have shiplap panels and everything. And there's a mirror in that hallway that looks like a porthole, like when people are walking past it. And in the kitchen, you hear like the floorboards and it sounds like the deck of a ship. It's so well done. All these little things that make you feel, I don't know, I guess more of the dad or something.
Right.
And kind of like in this world of his, which is another thing that's so neat when like the lady brings flowers, and cleans it up. And it's like, here's his ship that was all effed up. And then she's like sprucing it up a little bit. And there's kind of like a scary, not scary, but like a sad part when there's a storm. And so again, there's like a ship in a storm. And so you kind of know that something's off, that something is going to happen. It's really cool. It's really, really well thought out, I think.
So 2 questions. Was this movie good or great to the point where you think Dylan and I need to see it in order to consider it for awards? And 2, do you two know yourselves well enough at this point to know how you would react if you're ever approached with the notion of going to the home?
I could go to a home. I don't give a shit where I am in the world.
I was just honestly, I asked it because I was thinking about it while you're talking, and I was like, I think if I was asked to go to home, I'd just go and dick around on my phone. I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
I think it depends. It depends, I'm sure. If you have enough money to go to one where it's kind of a community, then that's cool. What was the movie we watched when that lady wants to kill a guy?
My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3?
No, it's got a stupid name. It was the one with Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So they're in a home.
And
but
that
it's
home
like
looked
fun.
cool.
Yeah, because there's like just a bunch of friends and stuff that live there. So that would be cool if it's one of those where there's like a community. But I think it's sad when it's just like a prison, essentially. Like everyone just in their own room. Somebody comes around and gives you pills or whatever. That's like a bummer.
Yeah, if I can read comic books and play video games and shit, it's like the same thing I do here, so I don't care.
I just hate people telling me what to do. So it's like,
okay. So that might be where you brush up against it, is when you're being told to do it.
Yeah, leave me alone.
Yeah.
But I'd say definitely watch it. At some point, you don't necessarily need to go to the theaters. I'm sure it'll be streaming somewhere sometime.
Probably Peacock, they tend to get everything.
And I would say that Beasts movie we saw a couple weeks back would be better to watch or more important to watch, but that's
You're saying
also,
it's like a distribution issue with that?
It's just where the hell is it? I don't know. It did well internationally, so I'm sure it'll be brought over eventually. But it's not like the best thing ever, but if you want to see a mature grown folk movie that's like really well done, I more than liked this movie, I would say.
I think it's a watch for how I really like it. I'm liking it more, and I'm remembering it more. I fully recommend watching it because I do think that it'll be on some of my top lists.
So that's what I was getting at, because I want to make sure that we're fair to it. You know what I mean? If you feel that it's going to be in the running for those, I'll definitely check it out.
Dylan, why don't you tell the people what we're watching next?
Unlimited.
Hey everybody, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Regal Movie Masters Unlimited. Hello listener, I want to play a game. In front of you are tickets to Saw X. If you watch it, you live. If you don't, you won't know what we're talking about in the next episode. Saw X, baby. John Kramer is back, bitches. And if you actually listen to this podcast, you know how excited I am for this one. Then we got the creator. From the looks of it, a very anticipated movie, and I'm just excited to see what the director of Star Wars Rogue One is going to do. We also got Carlos, the movie about Carlos Santana. And we got Dumb Money, a movie about stocks. Not too sure, but I'm really looking forward to this one. Well, see you at Saw Patrol. Bye.